Old Hollywood sparkled on the surface, but behind the cameras, it was a world of control, manipulation, and buried secrets. Some stars were ruined by lies. Others vanished under mysterious circumstances. And the darkest rumors? They've never gone away. These 10 twisted tales still haunt Hollywood nearly a century later. Clara Bow, the star destroyed by a betrayal. Clara Bow wasn't just famous, she was the face of the Roaring Twenties. With her raw charisma and rebellious charm, she became Hollywood's first true it girl. But at the height of her fame, her world imploded, not because of a scandal she caused, but because of one manufactured by someone she trusted. Her personal secretary, Daisy DeVoe, left Clara's employment and took with her a stack of deeply private documents. Letters, bank records, and intimate details never meant to see the light of day. Instead of fading quietly into the background, Daisy began threatening blackmail. Clara sued her, hoping to silence the noise. But the courtroom became a stage for character assassination. In front of the press, rumors flew. Wild affairs with married men, non-stop partying, and one especially twisted accusation involving a dog, completely unproven and clearly designed to humiliate. The media didn't care about truth. They ran with every word. Clara's reputation, once beloved, became stained. She was branded unstable, promiscuous, and morally corrupt. Whether it was true or not didn't matter. The damage was done. Although her blackmailing maid was eventually found guilty and imprisoned, the stain on Clara's name never fully faded. The betrayal gutted her personally and professionally, forcing her into early retirement. Decades later, many historians agree that most of the rumors were false. But that didn't save her at the time. Clara Bow's story is a brutal reminder. In old Hollywood, one lie, loud enough, could end everything. Natalie Wood, controlled by her own mother. Natalie Wood had the beauty, the talent, and the poise of a classic Hollywood icon. But behind the glamorous photos and red carpet appearances was a childhood shaped by fear, pressure, and control, mostly from her own mother. Maria Gurdon wasn't just a parent. She was a relentless manager who believed her daughter's fame was the family's ticket out of hardship. And she'd stop at nothing to make it happen. According to numerous biographers and insiders, Maria dictated nearly every aspect of Natalie's life. What she wore, who she spoke to, how she acted in public, and even which roles she took. But the darkest rumors suggest her control went far beyond managing appearances. Some claim Maria pushed Natalie into uncomfortable, even inappropriate, situations with powerful men in the industry, believing it would help her daughter's career advance faster. Nothing has ever been proven, but the whispers have followed Natalie's legacy for decades. As Natalie grew older, she tried to take back her independence, choosing roles on her own, distancing herself from her mother, and speaking out about her personal struggles. But the emotional scars of her early years were already set. Friends described her as anxious, insecure, and deeply conflicted about her own success. While the mystery surrounding Natalie's tragic and untimely death continues to stir headlines, it's the story of her youth that still raises the most disturbing questions. Because sometimes in Hollywood, the person pulling the strings isn't a producer or studio boss, it's your own parent. Olive Thomas, the silent film star who drank poison in Paris. She had the face of an angel and the career of a rising legend. Olive Thomas was one of the silent era's most captivating stars, known for her charm, beauty, and undeniable screen presence. But in 1920, at just 25 years old, her life ended in Paris under circumstances that still fuel speculation more than a century later. The official story was tragic but simple. Olive mistakenly drank from a bottle of mercury bichloride, an incredibly toxic substance prescribed to her husband, actor Jack Pickford, for a private medical issue. Within hours, she collapsed. Days later, she was gone. But not everyone believed it was an accident. The couple had reportedly been fighting, and rumors quickly surfaced that Olive had taken the poison on purpose. Others whispered something even darker, that she had been poisoned by Jack or someone else in their circle. Adding to the mystery was the studio's reaction. Her death was followed by a swift campaign to control the narrative. Investigations were minimal, and questions were quickly brushed aside. The press painted it as a tragic misunderstanding, and the case was closed almost as fast as it was opened. With so many details left unexplained, Olive's death became one of Hollywood's first major unsolved scandals. Was it a heartbreaking accident, a desperate act, or something more sinister? We may never know. But her story still lingers in the shadows of Hollywood lore, a beautiful young star silenced before she could fully shine. Thomas Ince, the yacht party that ended in a cover-up. Thomas Ince wasn't a movie star, but he was one of Hollywood's original architects. A producer, director, and studio pioneer, he helped shape the foundation of the modern film industry. But in 1924, his legacy took a back seat to a death that was suspicious from the very beginning, and one that many believe was never meant to be solved. Ince was invited to a lavish birthday celebration aboard the private yacht of newspaper tycoon William Randolph Hearst. It was supposed to be a weekend of champagne and Hollywood elites. Charlie Chaplin was there. So was Marion Davies, Hearst's much younger mistress. But before the yacht ever reached shore, Ince was dead. The official explanation? Indigestion that led to a fatal heart attack. But that didn't sit right with anyone. According to long-standing rumors, Hearst caught Davies and Chaplin in a compromising moment and flew into a jealous rage. Some believe he pulled a gun meant for Chaplin and accidentally shot Ince instead. What followed only deepened the suspicion. Ince was quickly rushed off the boat, cremated before an autopsy could be done, and never publicly examined. Even more suspicious? Gossip columnist Luella Parsons, also aboard the yacht, suddenly received a lifetime contract with Hearst's papers shortly after the incident. No charges were filed. No answers ever confirmed. Nearly 100 years later, people still ask the same question. Did Hearst kill Thomas Ince? And if so, how many people helped him cover it up? Judy Garland, the star MGM broke on purpose. To the world, Judy Garland was magic. The voice of the Wizard of Oz, the girl who brought color to the screen and joy to generations. But behind that iconic image was a life controlled, commodified, and eventually shattered by the very system that made her famous. Judy didn't rise to stardom. She was pulled into it, handpicked by MGM at just 13 years old. And from that moment on, her body, mind, and schedule were no longer hers. Studio executives obsessed over her appearance, calling her names like Fat Little Pig, and forcing her onto extreme diets. She was allegedly only allowed black coffee, chicken broth, and pills, lots of pills. Uppers to stay awake. Downers to sleep. Cigarettes to suppress appetite. It was a routine so harsh that doctors later said she was functionally broken by her mid-30s. And it wasn't just physical abuse. Emotional manipulation ran deep. Studio heads reportedly dangled food in front of her just to yank it away. She was praised, then humiliated, all to maintain an image MGM wanted to sell. Even her own mother, according to some sources, played a part, allegedly giving Judy stimulants during long car rides to auditions and sedatives on the way home. What began as childhood dreams quickly turned into a life sentence of pressure and addiction. To her fans, she was always Dorothy. But in the machine that was Hollywood, Judy Garland was never more than a product, used up, repackaged, and left behind. Howard Strickling, MGM's professional cover-up artist. In the golden age of Hollywood, every scandal had a fixer, and no one was more infamous than Howard Strickling. As MGM's longtime head of publicity, he wasn't just crafting press releases. He was burying bodies, figuratively, and some believe, almost literally. If a star got pregnant out of wedlock, arrested in secret, or caught in a compromising situation, Strickling was the one who made it vanish. But the rumors surrounding his work go far beyond spin control. According to multiple insiders and historians, Strickling's true role was to preserve the studio's reputation at any cost. That allegedly included arranging hush-hush abortions for pregnant actresses, sometimes without their full consent. The names whispered in connection with him are some of the biggest in Hollywood history: Jean Harlow, Betty Davis, Joan Crawford, even Judy Garland. The alleged method? A shadowy doctor known only as Dr. Kilcare, who reportedly operated in secret and left no paper trail. If actresses resisted, contracts were threatened. Careers were put on the line. Some were blacklisted, others quietly replaced. Whether they agreed or not, the studio made the decision for them. Strickling didn't answer to the law, he answered to Louis B. Mayer. There are no formal charges, no written confessions. But the whispers have lasted for decades. To many, Howard Strickling wasn't just a publicist, he was the gatekeeper of MGM's darkest secrets. And in a town that ran on silence, he made sure the truth never saw the light. Fatty Arbuckle, found innocent, but erased anyway. Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle was one of Hollywood's first megastars, a millionaire comedian beloved by fans and respected by peers. But in 1921, his career was obliterated in a single weekend. During a wild Labor Day party at the St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco, a young actress named Virginia Rappe fell violently ill. Days later, she was dead. And the rumors? Immediate and vicious. Tabloids accused Arbuckle of assaulting her, with some claiming the internal injuries that led to her death were caused during an attack. The public went into a frenzy. Arbuckle was arrested and put on trial, not once, but 3 times. The first 2 trials ended with hung juries. The third jury not only acquitted him but issued a written apology. Legally, he was innocent. But publicly, he was finished. What most people don't know is that there were whispers the entire case was a setup. Arbuckle had just signed $1 million contract, an unheard-of sum at the time, and some insiders believed the studio wanted a way to bring him back under control. Rappe had reportedly undergone a botched medical procedure earlier that day, unrelated to Arbuckle entirely. But none of that mattered. The media had already decided he was guilty. His films were pulled. His name was blacklisted. And he spent the rest of his life trying to claw his way back. He never really did. Arbuckle wasn't destroyed by the court system. He was destroyed by Hollywood's need for a villain. Charles Laughton, the bizarre story that refuses to die. Charles Laughton was a powerhouse on screen, respected, refined, and endlessly versatile. Whether playing a tyrant, a madman, or a tortured soul, he brought gravitas to every role. But off-screen, one rumor has haunted his legacy in ways that no performance ever could. It came from a man named Scotty Bowers, a notorious Hollywood insider known for arranging secret encounters for the rich and famous. And according to Bowers, Laughton once made a request so disturbing, it still shocks people today. The alleged story goes like this. Laughton invited Bowers and another man to his home under the guise of a casual meetup. But what happened next took a turn so grotesque, it's hard to believe, even for Hollywood. Bowers claimed that Laughton requested a sandwich, made with something no human should ever consume. While the exact details are too graphic to repeat outright, let's just say it didn't involve anything found in a kitchen. To this day, there's zero proof that the story is true. Laughton never addressed it, and many close to him dismissed the claim as slander or attention-seeking. But the rumor stuck. Not because it was credible, but because it was so outlandish people couldn't look away. And in Hollywood, sometimes the strangest stories are the ones that endure the longest. Whether a total fabrication or a twisted truth, the tale of Charles Laughton's so-called sandwich remains one of old Hollywood's most grotesque and bizarre legends. Proof that fame doesn't protect you from becoming folklore. Errol Flynn, a relationship that crossed every line. Errol Flynn was the ultimate screen hero, dashing, fearless, and impossible to ignore. But while audiences adored him for roles in swashbuckling adventures, his private life told a much darker story. As Flynn's career began to decline in the late 1940s, he re-entered the spotlight for all the wrong reasons, thanks to a highly controversial relationship with a teenage girl named Beverly Odland. Flynn was in his late 40s. Beverly, by most accounts, was just 15 when their relationship began. Even more unsettling, it's rumored that her own mother encouraged the romance, believing it would help boost her daughter's career. The pair traveled together, appeared in public, and even posed for photos as a couple. There was no secrecy, only boldness and a complete disregard for the optics. But it didn't end there. Some insiders claimed the couple staged public fights to grab headlines, even using props like fake blood and ketchup to catch the attention of reporters. Whether for love or relevance, Flynn knew controversy sold. It kept him in the tabloids long after the movie roles stopped coming. He died at just 50 years old, with many still debating the nature of that relationship and whether it was exploitative or consensual. But one thing's clear: Flynn's final act wasn't on a movie set, it was a scandal played out in real life, with a teenager at the center. In a time when image was everything, Errol Flynn's story shows just how far some stars were willing to go to stay in the spotlight. Jeanette MacDonald, a love story silenced by power. Jeanette MacDonald was the golden girl of Hollywood's musical era, poised, elegant, and endlessly adored. Alongside Nelson Eddy, her frequent co-star and rumored true love, she captivated audiences with sweeping duets and romantic films that defined a generation. But off-screen, their story was far from a fairy tale. In fact, some say it was a tragedy orchestrated by one of the most powerful men in Hollywood. According to long-standing rumors, Jeanette and Nelson weren't just an on-screen couple, they were deeply in love. And at the peak of their fame, Jeanette allegedly became pregnant with Nelson's child. But their relationship, and the baby, didn't fit MGM's carefully crafted image. Studio boss Louis B. Mayer reportedly saw their romance as a threat to the brand, and the pregnancy as an unthinkable liability. That's when the alleged ultimatum came: end the pregnancy or lose everything. Some say Jeanette complied under pressure. Others claim she suffered a miscarriage due to the emotional toll. Either way, the result was the same. Her relationship with Nelson crumbled, and the studio kept its spotless illusion intact. What makes the story even darker are the whispers that followed. Mayer allegedly manipulated contracts, issued threats, and even sabotaged Nelson's car to send a message. Whether those rumors are true or not, the message from MGM was clear: love had no place unless it could be marketed. Their voices continued to harmonize on screen, but behind the curtain, their connection was shattered. A romance destroyed not by choice, but by control. The golden age of Hollywood gave us legends, stars who lit up the screen and defined an era. But behind that polished glamour was something far more unsettling: a system built on control, silence, and survival. Some of the stories you've just heard may sound unbelievable. Others might be closer to the truth than anyone's willing to admit. What's undeniable is how quickly fame could be twisted into a weapon. One whisper could end a career. One secret could be buried forever. And one lie, told loud enough, could become someone's legacy. These weren't just scandals. They were stories of power-crushing vulnerability, of image-devouring identity, of lives shaped and destroyed by the machine that ran Hollywood from the shadows. And the scariest part? For all the time that's passed, not much has really changed.